Hello, Chris from My Stamp Lady, and I'm so glad you're here to stamp with me today. Today I'm doing a Christmas pop-out card where the center will pop up, and I am using the Santa Sleigh bundle, which includes this stamp set and this die set. If you look on page 24 of the holiday catalog that goes through January 3rd, 2017, you'll see the stamp set here and the dies that coordinate. If you look up in this corner here, you see the bundle, which when you purchase the two items together, you save 10%. So you would use this number right there, and in the United States, it's $45.75. So that is through January 3rd. After that, the bundle price or the 10% savings will go away. The other supplies I'm using I will show as I'm going through my demonstration. I will also have all of the supplies, dimensions, a printable PDF available on my website at mystamplady.com. Okay, so I'm starting with a half a sheet of thick Whisper White cardstock, and this is 5.5 by 8.5 cut in half and folded. Okay. Then I've taken a piece from the Fancy Frost Designer Series paper, and I've cut this down, and I have a garden green cardstock mat ready to go to mat that. I want this piece colored with Soft Sky, so I'm taking my Soft Sky ink pad. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to use a sponge brayer, but I'm going to tap that onto the Soft Sky ink pad. I'm holding it in place with my finger, and I'm lightly brushing over to highlight that snowflake pattern on the paper. So if you want to get more into the crevices, all you have to do is press harder. I'm just kind of keeping a soft pressure as I go over, because I just want it mostly to highlight the pattern. Once you get the highlights or the sponging to what you want it to be, then you can stop. And this is just a really soft, I'm trying to see if you can see that, a soft blue. With the fast views, I'm going to mount that onto the garden green cardstock. There we go. And then I can set this aside until I get other parts done. So on my magnetic platform, I have an acrylic pad, and here is my sleigh and the sleigh details. And then I will put, let me center that. I'm going to put an acrylic pad on top and run this through the Big Shot. I like to run it through twice. Taking those pieces off of the Big Shot, and I'm just placing them on the pad that comes with the Big Shot die brush. Now I'm just, actually most of the sleigh details I can just pop out. If they don't just pop out, I'm just going to use a piercer to pop them out the rest of the way. With the sleigh, there's a few more narrow areas, so I'm going to use the dry brush to pop that out. There we go. There's a few areas that didn't pop out, so I'll just pop those out with my piercer. Okay, once I have all of those little pieces popped out, I'm going to pull in the silicone pad, and I like to use a dotted adhesive, and I'm going to just go over the back of my sleigh details. I like to use the silicone pad because wherever I go over it, the adhesive will not stick, and so it just goes to the areas where I want it. Once I have those details lined up on the top, I'm going to just go over the back here, and again on the silicone pad so that my adhesive does not stick to the areas in between. And then with this adhesive, I can just wipe any overhanging adhesive off with my finger. Here is that background. Place that down. Now I want to do the wreath. Before I firmly press down that upper part, I want to do the wreath. So I'm going to take in my garden green ink and ink up that image. Now the magnetic platform has little circular magnets in there, and sometimes that will pull my die pieces. So depending on where you are, sometimes you can do them both at once, and sometimes I do them independently or individually if they are being pulled, like that middle is being pulled. The other option would be to just tape it down. I'm going to run mine through in two. Let's put the center in. So you want to move it so that it's not pulling to one of the magnets. That pulling will not happen with larger dies, but with the smaller die, it doesn't sit evenly over one, so it pulls a bit. Okay, so I have already stamped and cut out the little bow from the set, so I'm just going to use a mini glue dot and place that bow right, oops, I forgot the mini glue dot on the thing. It didn't come off. You want to make sure you press hard enough and that it pulls up with it. And set that onto there. I'm going to just set a mini glue dot underneath and just pop that over the top here. And after that's in place, because there's a little lift, I like to just pop a mini glue dot underneath that top here to keep this down. There we go. So there I have my front. Now I want to place this down on the front here. Before I permanently put this down, I'm going to set it in place where I'd want that and pull in the cherry cobbler ink. Let's see. Okay, I figured out where I want my sleigh to be set. Ink up the sentiment in cherry cobbler. There we go. And then I'm just going to stamp that in the center below. If I like how that turns out, then I'll just take the fast fuse and mount that down. There we go. And put this down on the card front. And that is my entire card front. Now I'm going to move to the pop out to the inside and show you a preview of what that pop out is going to look like. This is my finished card. So this tree right here is going to be my popped out tree. So to start off, I have taken a piece of cardstock that is cut to 5 inches high by 8 inches, folded in half, and I'm going to press that down, and that fold is where I'm going to do my pop-out work. So now I have a cardstock that's 4 inches by 5 inches. Let's take this tree. This is the tree from the die set, and I'm going to place that just halfway. So half of it's going to be hanging over the edge and not cut anything out. So let's place that like that. And when I roll this through the Big Shot, I don't want to roll the entire thing through, because if I roll the entire tree through, it's going to cut this out completely and then I'll just have a hole. So I just want to roll it through up to about here. So I am actually going to roll it through, and I'm going to place my top pad, so I don't forget, over the top of it like this. So when I roll it through, I have nothing over this part. This part will not get cut out. So I'm going to roll that through, but you notice that my pad is only up to that part of the die right there. So let me move this, put my Big Shot. This is really important that the part, let me line it up again, I shifted it a bit when I moved it. This is really important that the die part, or the acrylic pad, is only up to there. This part is not covered, so it will not be cut out. And then roll that through the Big Shot. Okay, so I've run that through the Big Shot, and this is actually not quite cut. It looks like it's mostly cut, but it's not quite cut. You do want to go quite far and make sure that you cut this. One thing I've learned at a tip with this is, if you have one of the newer pads, I have some really old ones and they're just straight across. The newer pads have a beveled edge. So when you're lining up that pad for that die cut, you want to make sure that you're cutting all the way to where that bevel stops, because once it starts to drop, it doesn't cut anymore. So I ran one through and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, what I had done wrong. Well, I had used one of the older pads that has a straight edge here, and it cut further, and I was wondering where I was running into my problem. So if you have that beveled edge, make sure you line that edge up to where you want that cut to stop. Now I want to make sure, I did go through a couple of times, but sometimes when you're trying to cut out two pieces of cardstock like this, the die is not designed for that. You need to make sure that it's cut all the way through. If it's not, you can take a craft knife and kind of go back in here and just make sure that second or that bottom side is cut. So you want to make sure that that's cut all the way through on this part here. There we go. I think I have it all now. I can tell it's cut all the way through if I can pop it out from the background. And of course, there we go. And of course these ones I do not want to cut all the way through. But I am going to extend, make sure that this is cut nicely where it goes up to, that fold spot. Because that last little bit that's attached, you want that to be the spot that's going to fold. Okay, so now put this away because I wanted to show you that beveled edge information. Now you can open it up. There we go. I'm going to lay it flat at first and ink up my tree in Garden Green ink. And I'm hoping I can do this on camera well. I might have to pull it off a little bit. So I'm lining up over that die cut spot so that where it's folded, you're still going to see an extension of the branches. I will stamp this 2 more times, just off to the background here. There we go. Okay, so now I have my 3 trees. And I need to flip the fold so it was the other way, and then we're going to flip it this way, but I want the tree to pop up, so let's pop out the tree, make sure these go to the back here, and then those spots where it's still attached, those are going to be my spots that fold. So we're going to just fold those. There we go, fold those spots. And fold this side. You want to go as far as you can without cutting it off. There we go. And then pop that in. There we go. And fold that down. So now when you open up your card, the tree in the middle will pop out. I've already cut 3 stars from some glimmer paper, so I'm going to use a mini glue dot and pop these stars down on the top of the trees. Now this one on the middle tree, I'm going to make sure it's over the tree. I don't want that glue on the back side to be sticking to anything, and I will also have to make sure that I have folded it in half so that when I shut the card it will fold. And let's put that last one down. The sentiment, I want the sentiment to be more opaque, or so you can't see through it, so it pops up a little bit. So I'm going to use the gold embossing powder and emboss that on here. But before I do that, I'm going to grab the Wink of Stella, press a little bit of ink down, or some of the fluid down. There we go. And I'm going to grab some of the Garden Green, and let's give a little shimmery ground here. The Garden Green's going to dry, and the Wink of Stella, I'm sorry, is going to dry, and then it won't be quite as dark, but you'll be able to see just a little line or a little bit of ground. Give my tree something to sit on. There we go. Then you just rub that off on scratch paper until it goes clean. Okay. Using the embossing buddy, go over this part right here. Stamp the sentiment, make sure it's right way up there. Stamp that right there. Okay, and let's sprinkle that with some gold embossing powder. Now let's warm up that heat tool. Let that warm up for a second. Set this sentiment. You know it's heat set once it's shiny like that, and then you have your sentiment. Let's let that cool for a second. Okay, so to mount this on the inside, what I like to do is I'll take my fast fuse and I'm going to put the adhesive down on the background here. There we go. And then we'll place that on the inside where that belongs, and wipe that, or press that side down, and let's add some adhesive here. Oops, just forgot to do the check mark. And then I'm going to close that. There we go. And then just press it down once it's been closed. So then when you open that up, there's my front with the Merry Christmas wishes, and then my tree that pops out in the center. If you have any questions about what I've done, don't hesitate to contact me, Chris, at mystamplady.com. You can find all of the supplies, the measurements, and directions in a printable PDF on my website at mystamplady.com, and all these supplies are available in my online store at shopwithmystamplady.com. Love a thumbs up if you like to see cards like this. Have a great day.